Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm Claire Jones. If we haven't already met, I'm an author and small publisher committed to changing the world for the better through inclusive stories and practices. And we are jumping on today for my Authorvision Facebook Live series, where I interview the amazing and inspiring authors in my network to discuss the personal visions that have shaped our lives and careers. So if you're joining us, please like, comment, share below. Let us know that you're here. And today I'm talking to Adora. And she's another amazing person that I met at the San Francisco Writers Conference.
Hi, I am excited to be here and talking to you and your awesome happiness.
Yeah. I was just so happy to find so many aligned people at the conference, but that's why writers need to come together more often.
For sure. It's such a lonely road. It's definitely nice when we actually all talk. It makes it more fulfilling.
Yeah, exactly. Community is so important. But yeah, let's talk about a little about you. How did you get to where you are today? Let's dive on in.
Honestly, trauma. But no, I have to be upfront, I have PTSD and borderline personality disorder. And so growing up, I'm a fantasy author, so fantasy was such an escape for me that I like held onto it to survive. And I am not a fan of the writer anymore, Joss Whedon, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But Buffy the Vampire Slayer super helped me because I was like, man, if she can fight demons and live this like horrible life, then I can get through my life.
Yeah.
So that definitely, elementary school, I started writing fantasy and dogs with tutus in the woods and stuff. And then and now I'm where I'm at now with super diving into the business of it all, which is challenging, but
yeah. I mean, I can relate so much to what you're saying. Like, Buffy was definitely my comfort show for so many years, because I always told myself, like, at least I'm not dealing with the apocalypse.
Same. Yes, exactly. I'm like, man, if she can, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I loved when they brought Dawn in. I talked to so many people. My youngest daughter's named Dawn. But I loved when they brought Dawn in. But I've talked to so many people that disliked that. But I was like, oh, it deepened her character. It showed what she was like as a sister, with like having higher stakes. I was like, I enjoyed that show.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because I actually just did a podcast interview with someone else. I think it was Monday this week, where we were talking about the CIA study that shows that high achievers have some level of traumatization in their childhoods. Because in order to be that high achiever, you have to feel like you have to prove something. So you have to have some level of trauma in your background to seed that in you, to grow that in you, because you're just traumatized enough to feel like you need to constantly prove yourself, but not traumatized too much that you become like a unfunctional human being, you know?
Yeah,
so it's fascinating that you brought that up.
That is very interesting. And I can totally understand that too, because when you go through life, like it's like you're on a high all the time of adrenaline, and it doesn't calm down. So then when you're constantly chasing work and chasing the next goal, it feels like the same panic that you've used to growing up.
Yeah.
I got on some kind of medicine, and it was so weird because it like calmed that part down for a moment. And I felt I like actually grieved that part of myself that was in such a rush all the time. But I've been off that medicine, but now I feel like I can more healthy chase that rush, but it's still like, it's such a comfort because it's what we've like grew up with.
Exactly. And I love that you phrased it as grieving that part of you, because that's honestly something that I've been going through as well. As like, I've always been highly motivated. I've always been high achieving. I've always been, pushing the envelope, right? But it's exhausting, and you have to almost mourn that part of you and be like, it did serve me successfully for X amount of years, but you're no longer needed. Please and thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I also love that you brought up having books to comfort you during that time, because I was definitely the same way. I spent a lot of time in the world of my imagination because reality was just not friendly.
Yeah. And now do you find I find contemporary, like I have such a hard time sometimes reading contemporary or even
Yes.
watching shows. If I watch a contemporary show and I'm reading a contemporary book and it's gone on too long, I get so depressed, because I need to constantly be siphoning fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have a problem sometimes with urban fantasy because of that reason, because it's too close to reality. Like I ran into that specifically with Leigh Bardugo's Ninth House book. I don't know if you've read that yet.
Did you? Everyone loves her, right? I
Yeah.
had such a hard time with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it
I
was a
always
DNF for me. I couldn't finish it. I read like
same.
20 pages in and I was like, the Illuminati controlling the stock market with blood sacrifice rituals. I was like, that's too close.
Okay, no, that is amazing, because everyone I talk to all the time, they're like, oh, and I'm like, oh, I cannot get into her stuff. I can't. I've tried so hard, and I'm just
Yeah.
I have the same issue. It's so interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying the Shadow and Bone series now, and that seems to be going well so far. I've read the first book. I liked it. I'm going to start the second book soon here. But the Ninth House, I just couldn't do it. And then most recently, I ran into that problem with Blood Like Magic by Lizelle Sambury. I don't know if you've read that one either.
No, I have not.
But it's more sci-fi urban than fantasy urban. And it has the major villain is like a corporate villain of sorts that has like the corporation's basically like social media plus biohacking. So like they have all of your DNA, and of course they're not doing good things with it in the book. And the ending just completely spoiled it for me, because the ending, I couldn't suspend my disbelief for the ending, because I'm so involved in business and like how businesses are run. I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years at this point, that I couldn't believe the ending she gave us for it, in the realm of like how to fix this corporate entity that they gave. I don't want to give any spoilers. I'm being intentionally vague, but
yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah, that's there's some like I Love Magicians, which is super crazy show, versus like everyone that loves like Shameless. I could not watch it. I was like, man, I like this, to me, I've lived, I know people that live like that and stuff, and it's not entertaining to me. I'm like, I can't get into it at all. And it's crazy. It feels so sometimes, you feel so secluded because all these people are like, oh, these shows. And I'm like, man, I don't know what it is, but I just cannot connect with them at all. Super interesting.
And it just speaks to how we use media in our lives, like what media actually does for us. So I guess that begs the question is like, what personal visions have shaped your journey in creating media for other people? Because that's essentially what we're doing as authors, right?
Yes. So yeah, so my goal and visions have always been just to create the same escape that I needed and that I love world building. I have made so many. I recently, when I was in California with you, I finished my 15th manuscript, and it was definitely like a more of a challenging thing, but they're all definitely like way, I don't know, it's just I just want people to understand and find themselves, and I want to be able to connect and understand others too. And so that has always been just my huge goal, is just the escapism and being able to almost like exactly like what you said. It's interesting because I feel like that's why we all get along so well and connect, because we all are hurting on such a level that we're able to understand each other.
Totally.
Versus sometimes when just, I don't know, I know where I live, it's harder to connect with anyone like that. So
yeah. I mean, that's the importance of writers' communities. Like we said when we started, is you not only have peers, but you also have cheerleaders within the space. And that, I think, is one of the most important elements, because coming from these childhoods, being on the CIA study, metric, it's like we need to combat the negative words in our ears as a result of this. And we need, like, I think I read a study once that said it takes 10, something like 8 or 10 positive comments to successfully combat a negative comment. And so we just need like more of that like, in order to combat all the things that we've been discouraged from throughout our lives.
Yeah, and that's with my critique groups and everything. I try so hard. Like I will make a summary and then just name off all the things I absolutely loved before I even get into the critiques. Because I mean, we've been like with already the noises in our own heads, it's so hard. It's so easy to get beaten down. And it's so rough when you come across a critique partner or just anyone that just like beats you down and says all these things that you're doing wrong when you're already second guessing yourself. Like you said, it's so important to lift each other up because writing is hard.
Yeah.
Like it takes, especially, it's so subjective. You know, everybody likes different things, like we just talked about too. Everything, like it's finding those communities, finding those connections, but understanding that even if what you made isn't for, you know, like if what you made isn't for me, then it still probably is for other people. And to be able to see that, but just look at structures and just certain things like that that actually need fixed and not the story itself, you know. It's so hard to find people to do that for you without you wanting to give up sometimes.
And one of my favorite quotes that I've come across when it comes to writing fiction is, great fiction is a lie that teaches us the truth. Like it can be instructional, it can be educational, it can be inspirational. And there's even studies that show that people who read more score higher on empathy spectrums than people who don't read, because we are placed in that character's shoes and we have to look at the world from their perspective. And that also strengthens that muscle over time. And us as authors, we have a very important job to do in terms of providing a perspective that, you know, your vision is to help people feel accepted and seen, but like how to do that in a constructive way, how to do that in a nourishing way, how to do that in a inspirational way, you know?
Yeah, for like, yeah, definitely. The manuscript that we're working on right now, business wise, is about colonization. And that was a very hard topic to tackle in such a nourishing way.
Totally.
To make sure that both sides are seen, and that like it was very, very challenging. But I think we got it across. But like you said, it's hard to, it is so important to make sure that like almost all sides are encompassed and, you know, are touched on in the writing. It's challenging. It's hard playing with hearts and stuff like that.
Yeah, because if your goal is to combat negativity, you can't perpetuate the negativity
Exactly.
as a result, right?
Yes, very much so. Because then you just turn people off like right away. I mean, like, yeah, it's so, yeah. And even with what you just said with I can think of books when I was younger, like that we read, and I still remember being in those characters' heads and feeling how they feel and stuff like that. And I don't really remember any of the negative stuff. I just remember the positive stuff, the sadness and stuff like that. I don't remember ever being like pulled back from those certain books because you just want to dive in deeper.
Yeah, I mean, it's our job as creatives is to evoke emotion, and we can use that power for good or evil.
Yep.
So we've kind of talked about this, but what lessons did you learn along the way with this journey?
That rejections suck.
Oh,
Family rejections
right.
suck. Writing rejections suck, but it definitely helps you grow. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you definitely, if you can take a step away, and even with trying to decipher if this person is coming at you in the right, you know, in the wrong way or right way, I feel like it helps in everyday life. I have also learned, like in critique groups and everything, that sometimes it's hard to get kindness across a page in a critique. So it's amazing when you do a critique and then you have like a Zoom meeting afterwards and you're like, oh, all these things that I thought they were attacking me, they meant it nice.
Mm.
Like, because it's very hard to try to, I feel like everyone needs to work harder to try to get the kindness across the page as best as they can, and
Mm.
even like fangirl it or fanboy it.
Mm.
But I feel it is still, I feel like I learned the most from critiques and rejections
Mm.
than everything else, because it just challenges you. It challenges your perspective, just like reading a book will challenge your perspective if done right, and it helps you grow.
Yeah, I've been actually thinking about rejections a lot lately because I've been coming across some accounts on Book Talk who are authors whose a lot of the majority of their presence is them talking about how much they've been rejected from agents and publishers. And I think that's a dangerous line to hold because we can often fall into the victim mentality as a result of the rejection. And it's definitely a skill set to become okay with just getting rejections day in and day out. Like I get rejections every single day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's part of life, and you just it's very important to learn to just
Yeah,
be like, but it's hard,
it
but it
is.
is
It
very
is.
important just to be like, oh, this is just no, yeah. And that's very interesting about the book talk.
Yeah,
Very,
I'm like, I think that's common in the world of people who want to go the traditional publishing route is like you have to go through some pretty much on average hundreds of rejections in order
yeah,
to get a successful application, a successful query. And I don't think people emotionally prepare themselves for that part of the process because we often think of books as our little babies too. They're like
yeah,
they're a product of our heart, they're a part of us, they're a bone in our body, and they're getting rejected day in and day out. And we have to emotionally prepare for that process, which if we are coming from the high achieving traumatized background is a little bit of a higher
mhm,
it's a higher hurdle.
and very a thin line to walk with falling off one deep end or the other.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because we also see the other end of the spectrum too, with authors just becoming almost combative when they do get negative feedback from the internet. Like the internet as a whole is always going to troll you, always going to give you negative comments. And we've been seeing a lot of controversies lately around authors attacking negative comments online. And it's definitely a fine line to balance. It's like, how much do you pay attention to it? How much do you respond to it? And how do you handle yourself emotionally throughout this process, which is a key skill set.
yes, yeah, which goes right back to the rejections and criticism during the writing process. Definitely helps teach you that, learning
Totally.
to step away. Don't don't confront, because a lot of with our critique groups, it's like, well, don't, if you have a question, you have a question, but don't like respond
Mhm.
negatively. You just take it and you
Yeah.
do with it what you will. That's very interesting.
Yeah, one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever learned from someone is to, if you get an email like that, if you get a comment like that, don't respond until you've slept on it. If you
Mhm.
respond immediately while you're in that emotional response, it's just going to crash and burn.
Or even get a second eye on it, because
Totally.
I've had before where I've read something, I'm like, oh my goodness, they're attacking me, I'm so sad. And then I'll have my husband read it and he's just like, this isn't attacking you. And then it gives you a different perspective, and you're like, oh, okay, I totally missed this, and I missed this because you're just so heightened emotionally,
Yes.
when you first go through it.
Hmm. I mean, when you go through it the second time, the third time, the fourth
Yep, yeah.
time,
And then
like,
you can't unsee what you see until someone's like, hey, wait a second.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And no matter how many times you have been rejected too, like I still get butthurt.
Hmm. Yeah, it's still hurtful. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess that asks the next question is like, what tools or practices did you use to support yourself throughout this journey? Like, how did you handle that emotional impact?
Well, I have a very probably maybe unhealthy tool of lists. And so even if I am sad or depressed or anything, I'm like, okay, I have to get this done. I have to get this done. Like I have lists for every single day. It takes me like 30 to 40 minutes to create my lists at the end of the week or at the end of the week for the entire next week.
Mm.
But so that is a tool that I have super leaned on throughout the years, just because we hit such a wall sometimes emotionally. It's hard to surpass that. But when I'm like, okay, there's like, even if I sit down for 5 minutes and do this one thing,
Totally.
it can either suck me in and I get
Yeah.
further in it.
Yes.
Yes. Or, then, or at least I did 5 minutes and I don't hate myself. And then I'm like, okay, I did it today. That's good. I did it today. That's good. Especially with the business side of things, so many things start piling on you.
Yeah.
And it's so overwhelming. But if
Yeah.
you can just even spend a little bit of time every day, and then you're like, oh, this wasn't as overwhelming as I thought. This wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be when I
Totally.
started tackling it.
Mhm.
So lists are definitely a huge thing for me. And like lately too, the community is such a
Mhm.
huge thing to lean on, feel less alone.
Mm.
Um, Other writers want to vent and cry with you. So when you open up, I feel like they open up, and then you're like, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one that's sad and going through this, and the only one that feels like they're just constantly being rejected. Or I feel like that's a big, huge help also. But even just
Mhm.
being here with you is just, it's so uplifting. It's nice. It's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I started the series is like I was just having such worthwhile conversations and one-to-one Zoom calls that I was like, we need to publicize this because we do often feel like silos. We do often feel like we're alone in this process. And I mean, I can relate so hardcore with the list thing. Like lists are bae for me. I love me some lists. And I actually just did that yesterday. I was feeling very low energy and I was like, all right, I know I need to like accomplish something or else I'm going to beat myself up for it for the rest of the day for not accomplishing anything. So I look at my list and I'm like, all right, what's the like least energy like output that I can just drop in there and be like, all right, at least I finished that.
Yep.
Because we get that dopamine hit on from our brains when we get to cross things off the list. And
Yep.
I mean, I've talked about this with multiple people. Like sometimes we'll just write stuff on the list that we've already done just so that we can cross it off.
Yeah, I've done before where I've gotten something done like vacuuming, and then I'm like, I never put it on my list. And I get so sad.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I love I call it the 5 minute game of like when I sit down and I'm like, all right, I'm going to genuinely try for 5 minutes. And if at the end of it, I still feel like lying on the floor, I'm just going to go lie on the floor instead.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that. I passed out for 10 minutes in the van today while waiting to take one kid into swim. I was like, I set an alarm and I was like, okay. Because
Yeah.
I was like, I'm trying to get like a book done before we go on vacation, finish reading it. And then my mind was like, you need to shut off for just a second.
Yeah, yeah, it's important because we do put so much into our work. Like we put our heart, our blood, sweat, and tears, our soul into what we write. And that is a very energetically exhausting process as well. Like, yes, we do get a lot out of the creative flow and that ups our dopamine and we really do enjoy that process. But afterwards, we need rest. We can't just jump from one project to another. Like when I see authors who are like, I'm going to publish 5 books this year, I'm like, oh, why are you doing that to yourself? It's a lot to undertake, especially if you're working jobs as well, or taking care of kids, or having all of these other responsibilities. It's self-love to realize our limitations.
Yes, I am learning that tremendously, especially, but it's so hard, like what we said too, the constantly being hard on yourself and it's hard finding that balance. My one daughter goes to kindergarten next year, be finally full-time writing. But this summer it was funny because my husband's like, oh, you'll have more time. And I'm like, everyone I've talked to is like, what? because they have activities literally from 9 a.m. in the morning. And then my other one doesn't get out till like 6 p.m. to like I have to run out again. And it's just so time consuming. And then teaching one how to read right now. And you're just like very hard to balance. And then your brain is already like from work and everything, your brain's already exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's honestly why I talk a lot about the neuroscience behind creative flow, because you have to understand that your brain is going to get depleted and you have to feed it correctly in order to take full advantage of its capacity when you want to, because so many people do leave writing to the very last minute. You know, it's the last thing on their priority list, and that's not honestly being fair to it, especially if you're putting so much pressure on it as well. Like you kind of have to choose pressure or priority, really.
Yeah, for sure. And that was such a huge adjustment for me because I was a stay-at-home mom. So then having to, and my husband's job was number one priority. And then having to make that switch in our head where he was like, okay, listen, like now it's your turn, because we made that deal a long time ago, that he would work on his own thing and build it up, and then it would be time to switch. But switching it was so hard because like I'm like, okay, well now I need to do that, like I need to put writing last on my list. But you know, instead of, he would be like, no, now I got the laundry, I got this, you go do that. And it's just like, but then you feel guilty the whole time because your mind's like, I should be doing these things. And but it's not fair on your writing. Like your writing, like you said, it's its own little entity.
Yeah.
It is important. It is important to the world, to, you know, like people need it. It's important.
Yeah. And you can't put all of the pressure on it if you aren't also prioritizing your investment into it as well. It's like planting a seed and expecting it to grow into a tree when you don't even water it. You don't even give it fertilizer. You don't even check to see if there's like bugs eating it.
Yep.
And those bugs are all those negative comments.
Yep. Yeah. You need to definitely check with your brain and your mind, and even like, go through those negative comments that probably are eating at you and figure out how to cleanse yourself of them.
Yeah. We need some termite control here.
Yeah, that's very, very good.
Authors and metaphors. It's like we know what we're doing.
Yeah, that's very good, man. It's all, yeah. It reminds me of the newest Queen Charlotte with the garden.
Yeah, that was a good metaphor. I definitely appreciated that. Well, anything you want to add before we wrap up for today?
You know, I just enjoyed talking to you again. It was nice.
Yeah, and per usual, this is powerful stuff that we're talking about here. These are heavy topics, but we're also trying to infuse it with a dose of inspiration, of being like, we've been there, we've done that, and we're on the other side now. And but we also have other challenges coming ahead of us. So this is just a continual practice that we're engaging in here. And audience, we definitely encourage you to share your own thoughts and feelings and insights and stories with us as well. We'd love to know how personal visions like these have impacted you in your own lives. So special thanks to Adora for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, so please like, comment, subscribe, and check out Linktree/ClaireJoyance for all of my links. And then where can people find out more about you? What links do you want to share?
Sorry. AdoraMichaels.com is my website. Everything, my name's pretty unique, so everything is just basically Adora Michaels. And on my website, it has the links to connect to any of my other social medias, my Instagram, and I have a TikTok where I just open books. I like sharing in my nerdiness. I'm really excited to move soon and my room is just a disaster, and I'm excited to actually pull out the things I just want to share. Like we have a mountain of Pokemon plushies and they have fallen all over. So yeah, and then my Sailor Moon manga is like hidden away, and I just like there's just all these things that I like being nerdy.
Yeah, I mean, it's all pieces of you too, and
yes,
that adds context to us as a human beings. Like, we're not 2D cardboard cutouts. Like,
No.
I am a human.
Yes, yes. And I love connecting with people. I love people, and just finding people that also love Pokemon and say, all these things. And you're just like getting that rush of excitement together is so fun. So
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure all of those links are available in the description and comments so that you can find them. But until next time, please remember that you all have extraordinary stories to share, and I'm rooting for you as you use them to change the world for the better. Take care, everyone.